introduce myself quickly, guys. My name is Brian Culler. I am a junior studying finance at University Park. I was elected to be the student trustee in May of last year. It was the beginning of my term, and then it's a 2-year term, which runs through May of this year, or well, May of 2021. I've had the pleasure of working with Sean and Stacy this year as we kind of tackle all of the big issues that Penn State's got going on, like every other university in the country right now. And so I should first start by thanking them for all of their hard work that they put into to making World Campus Student Government a success, and to making Penn State's transition through this time a success. So thanks to you guys, first of all. With that, I will kind of get rolling here. Just a quick overview on Penn State's Board of Trustees. So the board is responsible for governance and welfare of the entire Penn State enterprise. So Penn State is obviously a whole lot more than just a college in the traditional sense. We have a number of Commonwealth campuses, as well as our World Campus Student Government, and then we are made up of hotels World Campus by itself as a thing, and then World Campus Student Government, obviously, and then we hotels and airports and investment committees, and it's a pretty diverse group, and it takes a diverse group of people to represent all of those interests. And so you'll see that we have a pretty big board made up of alumni, governor appointees, business and industry appointees, agricultural societies. Obviously, the students elect a representative, the faculty elect a representative. So it's a pretty diverse group, and it can be sometimes slow moving as a result. But I think that in totality, it's really good that we get so many perspectives represented. And I'm going to talk a little more later on about how we're trying to get even more representatives, or even more representation out there. So as for the actual student trustee position, the student trustee is selected by the students. I put a little asterisk there because I want to talk quickly about in about 2 months, we're going to have our application for the selection committee for student trustee open. I will be chairing that committee along with our core committee, which is made up of all of our student government presidents. So we're happy to have Sean join us this year. I'm going to talk a little more about that in just a minute as well. But we always want to have a diverse group of students that can help us select a student that's well suited to represent all constituencies at Penn State. And so if you're interested in having a voice there, I would heavily encourage you to apply. And if you're interested in being that representative, our actual student trustee application will open probably in early January. I'll be in touch with Sean and Stacy about that as well, and I'll make sure they get it passed along to you. But if you're interested in representing Penn State at the highest level, I would definitely encourage you to apply and put your name in the ring to be considered. Anyways, a little more about the position. It's a little different than any student government role because your responsibility is actually a fiduciary responsibility to the university. That sometimes means that it can be in conflict with what we consider to be general student interests. Things like tuition that come up where I'd love to say that we all can lower tuition or keep it the same. But the reality of the situation is that there's times when the university's needs are different than the needs of our students, and the trustee has to be focused on the long-term viability of Penn State so that we leave a university that can be successful well into the future. And then throughout that role, the best way to represent any constituency is to get to know that constituency. And so what I do a lot of is going to our student government meetings, to student org meetings, and doing my best to get to know the students I represent, especially the ones that are having a different Penn State experience than I am. I'm at University Park. I've been here since my freshman year, but I would be not doing my job if I didn't do my absolute best to get to know our Commonwealth campus students, our World Campus students, our graduate students. It's a diverse constituency that I haven't experienced all of. So I do my best to get to know all of our different student groups over the course of my term so that I can best represent them. So moving on, just a quick summary of our July meeting. I'm going to go over our last two meetings just because we've had some big changes. So in July, we voted and approved the establishment of our Equity and Human Resources Committee. If any of you were around last year when I talked about these sorts of things, the establishment of a standing committee on the board that's focused on our diversity as a university as well as our diversity as a board was one of my top priorities coming into my term. And I'm really excited and proud to say that we finally established it. We haven't we haven't actually had a meeting of that committee yet. November will be our first one. But I'm excited to see that committee take place and to make sure that equity and diversity and inclusion are at the forefront of every decision Penn State makes and are considered at every meeting of the board. So that's really exciting. And then within that committee, the board also announced our diversity goals. So in an effort to make our board more representative and look more like our student body, we have put out a goal that we'd like to be 50% diverse by the year 2025. It's something we're really excited about, but it's going to take a lot of work from our selection committees and from our elections to also emphasize that diversity. It's going to take buy-in from the board and from our constituencies that do our electing, and so we're really going to do our best to make sure that we don't look so one-dimensional in a couple of years. The other thing in July is that we approved our budget, which included a tuition freeze for all students. It's I think much needed in our current COVID world where finances are so heavily strained for our students, and we were glad to have President Barron and his administration's buy-in and support, and we're hoping that we can do everything we can to support our students in financially trying times. And then finally, we talked a lot about our return to state preparation. Obviously, we're presented with logistical obstacles we've never had at our in-person campuses, as well as creating the infrastructure to continue to support a growing world campus. And so we put a lot of time into making sure that we were prepared to take on this virtual learning environment that we're now in. So our September meeting, which actually was just last Thursday and Friday, I broke this one down by committee just to give you a little bit of a sense of how our general board meetings work. So I sit on these first two committees. The first one, Academic Affairs and Student Life, and the second is Governance and Long Range Planning. Under Academic Affairs and Student Life, we had an update from our Code of Conduct Task Force. This group is reviewing in response to some inappropriate student actions over the summer. The processes that Penn State has in place for dealing with students that violate what we consider to be the standards that we want in the Penn State community. That task force is being chaired by Nyla Holland, who's the president of Black Caucus. She's doing a great job, and that whole group is doing a great job because it's a really tough topic, and there's a lot of intricacies to that. So I'm grateful to them for their work and for everything that they're putting in to make Penn State better. This Code of Conduct Task Force is kind of being, I don't want to say overseen, but more so, I guess, monitored by President Barron asked the board to form a board group a board task force on racism and bias as well. And so I'm proud to be sitting on that. That's being chaired by Brandon Short. And we're meeting with Black leaders and leaders of color from all over Penn State's broad spectrum of campuses and roles. And so we're doing our best to get a better understanding of what it's like to be a person of color at a predominantly white institution, and make sure that our board and our administrators are aware of everything that we can do to support students of color through what's been a trying time for race relations. For our Governance and Long Range Planning Committee, we had to postpone our board officer election, so our board officer elections are usually in July. We had to push them back to November as a result of COVID side effects. And so we actually are considering permanently moving those elections to November. We haven't yet reached a consensus. We were supposed to in September, but we pushed that back to November, so that's why that's got postponed there. And then exciting for our World Campus Student Government is this next item. we made changes to our standing orders of the student trustee selection process. Instead of the University Park student government or the Commonwealth campus student government having a vice president as guaranteed representation, we removed that vice presidential guarantee, and we made sure that World Campus Student Government had its president on the core committee, so that for all years to come and all selections to come, the World Campus's voice is going to be echoed loud and clear when it comes to selecting our students, our highest student representative. And then finally, our Finance, Business, and Capital Planning Committee. I don't actually sit on this one, but it is often in the headlines and it's newsworthy, so I just thought I'd bring it up. We approved a new state appropriation request, which includes I think it was 4% increase over what we asked for previously. Obviously, the state government's budgets are going to be strained, and so I put this on here so that I could encourage you all to find ways to get involved in advocacy on behalf of Penn State, whether it's through Capital Day ventures, which will most likely be online this year, or through letter writing campaigns and reaching out to your local congressman. State government support is what will really enable Penn State to become a more affordable university. And so we have a lot of great partners in Harrisburg, and we need to make sure that we capitalize on those to try to make Penn State more affordable as we move forward. We also had our student leadership meeting. Sean, I found this picture as I was digging through some Penn State photo archives. Obviously Tanya's not running the show anymore, but good to see you guys posing with the lion shrine there. So we talked a little bit about the stigma that is unfortunately occurring around World Campus and Commonwealth campus students. President Barron expressed his sentiments about as well as I think anybody could have, which is that obviously it's terrible that this is happening, and from Penn State and the university, you have our apologies, because it just doesn't reflect the way that Penn State really feels about what we think are the real strengths of the Penn State brand. Our Commonwealth campuses, make Penn State accessible to everyone around the state, and our World Campus makes the university accessible around the world. And we really believe in the strength of both of those programs, and we think it's what makes Penn State special. And so I think it's even been an adjustment this year, and we've got more kids shifting to an online education, and they're seeing just how challenging it is to juggle all that you all juggle on a daily basis. And so I want to first say, I want to extend my apologies that that stigma exists and that you're feeling those pressures. And I want to tell you that on behalf of the university and the board, that we're here to support you and to help to make sure that you all get the well-deserved respect that you deserve, so that you can pursue your education without interruption. So I apologize for that. And then finally, we talked a lot about COVID-19. There's been some resolutions passed by the University Park student government as well as the graduate student government in, I guess, addressing what the university has done in response to coronavirus and our testing and our return to state plans. And so we talked about some of those head on. We really think that Penn State is leading the way in terms of a good response to COVID and providing all of the resources to our students that we can. Hopefully we're gonna see that as time goes on here, that our students are really doing well and that we made the right decision. So coming up for me and the board, the Student Trustee Selection Committee, as I mentioned, will be convening in late December, early January. And then I will be continuing to work on the Racism and Bias Task Force as appointed by President Barron. We're excited to start shifting from a lot of listening to a lot of action, trying to make tangible changes to Penn State for the better. And then also, so we have our board officer election, like I said, that was pushed back. We will be electing a new chair for the first time in 3 years. Mark Dambley has been the chair for the past 3 years, and he's really been a phenomenal board chair in that he's incredibly receptive to student ideas and student thinking. I'm sure Sean would back me up that Mark has really done a good job of listening to all of our student groups and doing his best to support initiatives that are important to students. And so we really owe a debt of gratitude to him as students for his leadership and his willingness to work with students as we come through Penn State, and then even with our alumni groups afterwards. And then finally is that first meeting of the Equity and Human Resources Committee. I don't know that I'll be sitting on it yet, just because our committees are assigned by the new board chair, but I'm hopeful that I'll be joining that committee and forcing that group to look critically at what Penn State can do better in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion. That is all that I have. I just want to take one more minute to thank Sean and Stacy for everything that they've done to support our World Campus students and in advocacy. And I want to thank all of you members of our Student Government Association here that for your work and taking time out of your day to represent your fellow students. I know as a student representative that it can be challenging and thankless, but I can promise you that you're being heard and you're making a difference. So I want to thank you all for that. And I can take any questions that you guys might have, or if you don't feel comfortable, my email is there. You can always reach out by email with any concerns. Sorry, that was kind of long-winded, but are there any questions? All right, if not, Sean, I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the presentation.
Okay, is there anybody at this time that has any questions or anything that they would like to bring to the table? All right. At this time, I move that we proceed to our executive board reports. The chair recognizes Mr. President.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. So I'll just give a brief rundown on some of the meetings that I've been attending. September 2nd, I attended the Student Leaders Roundtable. We have those meetings frequently to discuss issues of mutual concern. It's met with Trustee Color there, as well as members of the major student organizations at the university and the other student government leaders. Most of those discussions were centered around COVID-19 and the return to campus and how things are going related to that. September 3rd, Stacy and I met with Dr. Renata Engel. She's the Vice Provost for Online Education. We met with her staff and staff from the Major Gifts Unit to discuss philanthropy opportunities that can benefit the World Campus. Some of these ideas were specifically around programs such as leadership conferences, the One Lion Squad, Smart Track to Success, etc. And it was a very good conversation. I think that at some point we may be generating some student stories to provide them a perspective from our side. Some more info to follow. September 10th, I attended the CCSG Town Hall where we got to listen to some of their concerns from the Commonwealth campuses. And then I attended the World Campus Involvement Fair representing the World Campus Student Government Association. There was a great turnout for that, and I think a lot of people are interested, and we got our message out there on what we do and how we're here for the students. September 15th, I attended the full University Faculty Senate meeting. We're still working on firming up the details regarding our representation and where our seats are. And I also attended the assembly workshop that many of you have attended for onboarding our new members that'll be sworn in later this evening. September 16th, I met with the Associate and Assistant Vice Presidents for Student Affairs with the other student government leaders. We discussed emergency protocols for the World Campus and how that supports World Campus students that live in areas affected by wildfires, hurricanes, civil unrest, etc. We discussed how Student Affairs overall is supporting those functions at the World Campus and where improvements could be made. We also discussed in depth the emergency fund, how that's supported and continuing to be supported, as well as withdrawal aid, academic accommodations, and anything that related to that. September 17th, I attended the Committee on Academic Affairs and Student Life for the Board of Trustees. As Brian mentioned, they discussed advancing initiatives regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion. They got an update from the Board Oversight Task Force on Racism, Bias, and Community Safety, and an update from the Student Code of Conduct Task Force. It was very interesting to receive that update, and if anybody would like further details on that, I'm willing to share what I can. September 18th, we attended a meeting with board leadership and senior administrators from the university. That includes President Barron, We discussed, as Brian said, the World Campus representation on the Student Trustee Selection Committee, the stigma surrounding the World Campus. Specifically, I've heard a lot where members of the Penn State community have been referencing remote and online education as Zoom University or taking courses at the Zoom campus. And I wanted to advance that to the board's radar so that they were a little aware of these kind of discussions that are going on. Just because our mode of delivery is different for our education doesn't devalue the education that we're being provided by the university. We spoke about promoting a more holistic view of the university. The one mantra that I always throw around is one university geographically dispersed among the world. And then we had some other conversations with, from the other student government leaders surrounding COVID-19 and how that's impacting students in residence at the campuses. And then I also attended the public meeting of the Board of Trustees to continue our representation there. And that is all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The chair recognizes Madam Vice President.
Thank you. Good evening. Most of what I have is going to shadow what's already been said and Sean's schedule as well. So I'll just be brief. On September 3rd, Sean and I had the meeting with Renata Engel. September 10th, I also attended the CCSG Town Hall up until the World Campus Involvement Fair, where Sean represented the World Campus SGA. 9/16, we had the student government officer meeting with Student Affairs senior leadership. Then on the 17th was my meeting with the Governance and Long Range Planning Committee. The 18th was the meeting with student government leadership and the Board of Trustee meeting. And then I also wanted to mention, because we have a lot of newcomers now, on October 9th and 10th, we are planning on attending the 2020 ASGA National Student Government Summit conference, and this is all online. It's October 9th and 10th. I can post a little bit more information in the chat then, but if you want to put that on your calendar in the meantime until we have further information to give you, that's October 9th and 10th, all online. And that is all I have to report right now.
Thank you very much. I do see that somebody does have their hand raised. I'm not sure whose telephone number is 470 starting.
Hi, it was me. I did that earlier on accident. I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't miss you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have anything to report. The chair recognizes Madam Secretary.
Hi, everybody. The only thing I have to report is if you aren't going to be able to attend, please send me an email just so I can document it and I have it written down that you're not able to attend. It just helps me keep up with everything. And that's all I have.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Mr. Treasurer.
Hello, good evening. I just want to give a quick update on the budget. We will retain all of our monies that we previously didn't spend for last term, which reflects $20,541.50. And we have potentially $1,797 of potential charges, depending on vote confirmation. And that would bring that budget down to $18,744.50. So that's over double of what we spent last term. So we're in good shape with the budget. And I think that's it that I'll have to report.
Okay. Thank you very much. I move that we proceed to our committee reports. The chair recognizes Ms. Academic Affairs Chair.
Hi. First, I'd like to thank Sean and Kyle for pinch hitting in the orientation meeting for committee members last week. I had a family emergency and I completely went off every grid, every map, everything. And I've never done that. It was really weird, but there was nothing I could do about it. And I'm so sorry that I wasn't there. I do think that we do look like we've got a great group. I've got all the names here: Ariel, Alexander, Jennifer, Tara, Charlissa, Lords, Irene. I'm really excited to looking forward to working with you all. And I know that Kyle and Sean gave you the thumbnail sketch of where we're going, so I won't repeat that. I will be at the meeting tomorrow with Sean, the academic rights campaign meeting, and then shortly after that we'll put together our first committee meeting and we'll be off and running. So thank you all for your patience as I get my life back on board, and we'll move on from here. That's it for me.
Thank you very much. The chair recognizes Mr. Governmental Affairs Chair.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So I just wanted to give a very brief update on a partnering initiative that Governmental Affairs has kicked off. Over the past week or so, I've been in communication with the president of Lion Caucus. His name is Rafay Nazir. We've scheduled a couple of meetings to connect so that I can get to know a little bit more about Lion Caucus and how our World Campus Student Government can benefit from some of the activities that their organization is involved in. So let me give a little bit of background. The Lion Caucus is a new university-affiliated student organization that's connected to the Office of Government and Community Relations. Lion Caucus really has two primary purposes, which are pretty close in nature to governmental affairs and what we're trying to accomplish as a committee within World Campus Student Government. Their first major priority is to promote the official message and the positive influence of Penn State to local, state, and federal elected officials. And their second major purpose is to educate fellow students about important legislation and policies that impact the university and the overall student body. Now, in terms of eligibility for membership, membership is limited to Penn State University Park campus students only, and they have to have at least 2 semesters remaining. So if you are eligible, if you are a member of the University Park campus, the members will have an opportunity to interact with legislators, to meet with student organizations, and to talk about what's happening at all levels of government, and to host numerous events to bring about awareness. And for example, some of the events that they plan to host coming up this semester are holding educational seminars, meeting with legislators and lobbyists, hosting elected officials at University Park showcase some of the student organizations and current research projects, and also organizing and executing Capitol Day, which is Penn State's annual state advocacy event. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how we can best connect with their organization. And I will update World Campus Student Government on any upcoming involvement or important activities or any partnering that we can kick off there. And if you have any questions or if you'd like any more information, feel free to reach out and let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The chair recognizes Mr. Marketing and Communications Chair.
Good evening, everyone. It was nice meeting my committee group for the first time. I would like to give a shout out and thank you to Corrine for setting up the group email, as well as Sean for emailing, getting the draft email technically and emailing everyone about the bios that we are planning to start. We're asking everyone to send their picture / a bio for the website, and we created a Facebook page. We're going to start off from the bottom, grounds up, working as a committee member. I mean, all of the committee members are going to start a brand new page. And the deadline is October 6th for the bios and pictures. And can't wait to continue meeting with my committee members and working on this project starting a new project by posting what other committee people need for the website and Facebook. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you very much. The chair recognizes Madam Student Affairs Chair.
Hi, I don't have anything at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The chair recognizes Madam Technology Chair.
Hi, everyone. So I also attended the CCSG meeting on September 10th, and it was interesting to hear how mostly in-person students that were attending in-person classes were discussing how students can remain connected in a remote environment. There was a lot of talk around that, and also talk about how there's also Zoom fatigue going from one Zoom meeting to the next, to the next, to the next. Which is for World Campus, I think it's also important. We are an online environment, but sometimes it's hard to stay connected with students, with other students in class, other than, through discussions during class or for the class. So that's something that I want to look into as well. And I'm also happy to welcome the new members. We had a great chat last week, and it was kind of short, so there's a lot more to talk about, and I look forward to that. That's it.
Thank you very much. I move that we proceed to our advisors report. The chair recognizes Dr. Adams.
Good evening, all. I'm so thrilled to be here this evening, and I'd like to welcome all the new student government committee members. I'm so thrilled that you've decided to serve your university through a role in student government. The university is better because of our senior leaders, and I would just like to thank you for your commitment to serve. I encourage you to actively participate in your committees. I know your committee chairs are eager to have you and committee chairs. I invite you to really vigorously use your new committee members well, delegate and share responsibility, really get them involved and connected as they will be your successors one day. And if there's anything that World Campus Student Affairs can do to serve any of the committees, please let us know. Before I share my report, I'd like to yield to Mary to have her share any updates or reporting she has, and then I'll proceed.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I really, Kyle and I have been working on the budget, which he presented very well. The other significant thing is that we finally got the timeline in place in terms of the election timeline. So hopefully that will run quite a bit more smoothly this year and then for years to come. But other than that, I didn't have anything else.
Thank you, Mary. And thank you so much for your work on the election agenda. You might be surprised that we're already working on election 2021, but we have it finalized thanks to the work of your president and vice president, and maybe them or Mary can share it at a future meeting so that you all can see it, because we will kick off election proceedings in January for 2021. The primary thing I wanted to share this evening is related to development. So as the president and vice president shared earlier this month, we met with Vice Provost Engel and the Director and Associate Director of Development. Development is responsible for fundraising and scholarship funding and sponsored programs. For many years, I've been advocating for more scholarship funding for World Campus student leaders and leadership programs. And I was really thrilled to have this conversation that we had earlier this month, because I think that that will open up the door for more scholarships in general, and then more sponsored programs through donor funding. So for example, I told the Director of Development that I would really like to have our student leadership conference be the PepsiCo Student Leadership Conference. Have them pay for it, have them fly you all out in a private jet or the like. So that's what I'm going for. And I have a follow-up meeting with them on the 29th, where I'll be laying out my plans in more detail for exactly how much funding we would need to really build out our student leadership programs in a more robust way. We also are seeking more funding for scholarships, specifically for student leaders. For example, my colleagues, so other directors or senior directors of student affairs at other campuses, have funding that's specifically set aside for awarding scholarships to student leaders during their terms of service, or after they complete a term of service, or just like overall scholarship funding for student leaders. World Campus presently does not have that kind of funding. And so I've been advocating for that. And I feel that we are some steps closer to that. I'll be seeking endowed funds, which means like it's a fund that generates year after year after year, as well as, one-time large donations that are over $50,000. And so I will certainly keep you all updated on the development of my development funding search. But our leaders of development shared in the meeting that it is a priority for them to raise money for student affairs this year. And so I'm eager to help them fulfill that priority through my advocacy and my role as the Senior Director of Student Affairs. And I'm happy to take any questions. Seeing none, I'll yield. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I proceed that we move to our liaisons report. The chair recognizes Justin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Justin Zaki. I am the Council of Commonwealth Student Governments, which is CCSG, the long version of that. I'm the executive liaison. I serve as like the diplomat theoretically for our organization. So I attend meetings with you guys. I attend meetings with the University Park Undergraduate Association and the Graduate Professional Student Association, just to better communicate what the Commonwealth wants and how we can better work with you to provide a better experience for Penn State students across the board. We'd like to first thank everyone who came to our CCSG town hall 2 weeks ago. It was really beneficial for us. It helped us get a better perspective on what the Commonwealth campuses want to hear and what they better want to see happen, what they want us to do in this academic year. We're really pushing right now hard for just different treatments for the COVID-19 outbreaks, because as many of you probably know, Penn State has a really big outbreak of it, but most Commonwealth campuses aren't really being touched by this outbreaks. So we don't want to have restrictions limit other campuses when one campus is really the major issue in this problem. So we're kind of fighting for our voice with that. We're also just fighting for our voices with through advocacy of bills that just protect off-campus housings for our Commonwealth campuses. We're also looking to better serve our students with better engagement across the board. So we're really going to be looking to World Campus for help for that, because unlike you guys, we aren't as well versed with using Zoom for long periods of time and the different ways you can connect online with people. So most campuses are having a dip in their student involvement. So we're really looking for help with that. I know a lot of people have reached out to me specifically about maybe even talking to you guys and having meetings set up with you guys to just better get a view of how we can better ourselves so we can help our students better, if that makes more sense. I'm open to any questions from you guys about what the Commonwealth has been doing. We're gearing up soon for our next fall council, in which all 19 campuses and their presidents and vice presidents will meet and just discuss what we want to do and the needs we need to fill and what's going to happen this year. But yeah.
Thank you very much. The chair recognizes Maria.
Evening, everyone. I will just briefly touch the meeting that we had last night for the Student Advisory Board, and the committees are working really hard to advance all these projects and developments that will encourage more of the students to help students. For instance, we have the academic affairs that's been working hard for the postage and shippings for the cost that will be paid for interlibrary loan service. So their committee is working hard for that to have that advanced story, and we'll definitely gonna get you posted on that. And for the outreach and committee, we sent out a survey last month, and this survey is all about a training that we will be providing for the leaderships, and most of the surveys that returns to us is all about diversity, equity and inclusion. And with that topic, we kind of like talk about adding some we have a few suggestions to add, like if time permits, we will add some more of allyship, unconscious bias, and topics that will talk about a current events and statistics, something like that. And another thing that we are working right now is regarding the career service topics that will help students advance our situations, advance our positions as a leaders in the in student leadership, and how to market ourselves. So we were kind of looking on that, and I think one thing that's really exciting right now is we are waiting to pilot the virtual cafe. Virtual cafe will be everybody's gonna be, this is gonna be a very exciting, because a lot of students are struggling about how to connect now that we are all most of the university students are migrating into virtual. And I believe that we believe that through virtual cafe we can communicate to some students how we successfully achieve our goals in virtual. And with that, I don't have report anymore.
Thank you very much. At this time, I move that we proceed to our new business. At this time, I would like to recognize all of our new assembly members. We will go ahead and swear all of our new assembly members in. So all of our new assembly members, if you can please go ahead and unmute yourself and raise your right hand. And all together, repeat after me. I state my name, do solemnly affirm that I will support, obey, and defend my responsibilities of the World Campus Student Government Association. I acknowledge that I'm a representative of the student body.
My responsibilities on the World Campus.
And will dutifully
represent and support undergraduate, graduate,
of the student body population of Penn State's World Campus.
I will dutifully represent
I
further affirm I will faithfully discharge my duties as student affairs chair to the best of my ability.
Guidelines of my position as outlined.
Assembly member to the best of my ability.
Discharge my duties. And fully discharge my duties as Nathan Majors to the best of my abilities.
Right, to the best of my ability.
Great job, everybody, and welcome. We're all excited to have you. Okay. At this time, I yield the floor to Mr. President.
Good evening again. So as some of you may know, our student affairs chair, prior student affairs chair, had to step down due to some medical issues and stepping away from the university this semester. So we've appointed Rachel Foster. It's just pending confirmation from the assembly. So we'll entertain a motion to confirm her appointment to student affairs chair. Thank you.
If everybody could please use the participation button, and all in favor, please select raise your hand. I'll give everybody a minute to raise their hand and vote. All right, looks like majority has it. Congratulations, Rachel. All right, and at this time, we will go ahead and swear Rachel in individually. Rachel, if you could please raise your right hand and state the oath.
I, Rachel Foster, do solemnly affirm that I will support, obey, and defend my responsibilities on the World Campus Student Government Association. I acknowledge that I am a representative of the student body population of Penn State's World Campus and will dutifully represent and support undergraduate, graduate, and certificate-seeking students. I will adhere to the guidelines of my position as outlined in the Constitution. I further affirm I will faithfully discharge my duties as Student Affairs Chair to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. All right. At this time, I yield the floor again to Mr. President.
All right, this topic is about the expenditure of funds for the ASGA conference that Stacy briefly touched on earlier. So last year, we only had enough funds to send myself and the vice president for last year. This year, it is being held virtually. So we have an opportunity where if we sign up, we can have everybody attend for that one price. I know Kyle and Mary have been working on this diligently, but I want to have assembly approval, of course. For non-members, the price is $2,550 until the 25th of September. Then it goes up to $3,150. For membership, which will be our next topic, it will be $2,350 until September 25th. And then it will be $2,950. The reason for membership, which is our next topic, is included in this, we get a free consultation on our Constitution and a free consultation on our website. Coming from a professional standpoint, I think that it would be beneficial to utilize those. The membership per year is $897. However, there is a stipulation that because we attended last year, we would also get a refund for the non-member price difference for our attendance last year, in addition to the free consultations. The consultation for the Constitution and the website are about $500 a piece. So there is a bargain in joining. There's also a lot of other webinars and resources that they have available that I think we can greatly benefit from. So we would like to entertain a motion to approve the expenditure of funds for the ASGA conference, which will be held October 9th to the 10th.
So moved.
Madam Speaker, can we have a vote?
Yes. If everybody could please, again, utilize the raise your hand button, and we'll go ahead and cast our votes.
Madam Speaker, how should those on mobile vote since they can't see the button?
If you are on mobile, please go ahead and state aye or nay. Or you can post your vote in the chat as well.
Madam Speaker, can you share where the button is in the participant tab?
Sure. Absolutely. So if you click on the bottom row, you'll see something that says participants, and it should pop out with a side screen there. On that side screen, you'll have an option to raise your hand. It'll say either it's a blue symbol, and then you'll have either a green check mark that says yes or a red X that says no.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Give it another minute or so, and we'll go ahead and tabulate our votes. Okay, looks like the majority has it. Mr. President?
All right, our next item here, and please note that you can uncheck that to lower your hand as well. The next item is the expenditure of funds for the ASGA membership. As I mentioned, that is $897, which gives us an exactly $200 discount on attendance to the ASGA conference. And like I said, it will give us all those other added benefits of a constitution review and website review.
All right, at this time, we'll put that into vote. All in favor, please raise your hand, or again, you can utilize either the chat options to vote yay or nay, or you can state either yay or nay if you're unable to utilize either option. We'll go ahead and give that another minute or two as well.
Madam Speaker, they're asking for
Mr. President, could you please state that motion again?
The motion in question is the expenditure of funds for the ASGA membership. That will be $897 per year and will give us a $200 discount on attending the conference, as well as a free consultation on our Constitution and website.
Mr. President, looks like we have a question.
So at the moment, we do not have the Constitution on our website. However, in the interest of transparency, that will be made public. It is within our working files at the moment. There are some gaps in there, which is something that we're going to be convening a Constitution Review Committee to go through and review that with representation from each of the committees. And we'll have more information on that very shortly.
That's good. And at this time, it looks like the majority has it. Mr. President?
Thank you. That's all I have for that.
Okay. This time, I move that we proceed to old business. Is there any old business at the moment that anyone would like to bring up? Okay. I move that we proceed to a few additional comments, I yield the floor to Mr. President again.
Hi, everybody. So in light of the approval of the ASGA conference, we're also looking to program in some social events for all of you here on the Assembly. I think it'd be a great opportunity to kind of meet and mix and mingle outside of the normal business situation that we're always presented with here. So we're working, Stacy and I are working on some programming type things to work around the schedule for the ASGA conference. The conference is October 9th to the 10th, 2020. Their schedule is here, and I will get that to you in the chat after I'm done talking here. And then some social events are to be determined, but I think it'd be a great opportunity. So once we get this all sorted as far as registration, we will send out more information to you, and we hope that you can all look to attend. And then my second item, are there any questions regarding that? Okay, seeing none. My next item is the Virtual World Campus Student Leadership Conference. I wanted to give a shout out for this. It will be held October 26th to the 27th. You do have to register for it, but it's hosted by Student Affairs, and it's a great opportunity to meet with other student leaders that are outside of our student government, that may be club leaders, World Campus Student Advisory Board, other people that are just interested in expanding upon their leadership skills. So it's another great opportunity, and I wanted to get that out there for you all so that you can read over it and see if it's something that interests you, and hopefully you can attend. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. At this time, are there any additional questions or comments that anybody would like to bring?
Madam Speaker, may I make an announcement?
Yes, Dr. Adams.
Thank you. If I have the ability, I'd like to share my screen. Thank you. I'd like to just highlight a couple of events and programs that are coming up that I encourage the student government to participate in. One such event is tomorrow. There's a Latinx student listening session. There's one at noon and one at 6 p.m. If you are a Latinx student or an ally of this community, I encourage you to attend. Our associate director is hosting a number of listening sessions to better understand our student populations who identify in this category and how we can better serve them at Penn State World Campus. So again, those events are tomorrow, one at noon and one at 6 p.m. So I do encourage you to attend. There's also a listening session for students who are parents on the 24th. That's on Thursday. So if you are a parent or an ally of parents, I encourage you to attend. She's looking to learn more about these student populations and how we can better serve them. There's one at noon and one at 6 p.m. So do please attend. Feel free to share this on your Facebook page. Feel free to share it in your classrooms if your faculty will allow it. I really would like to see robust attendance at these events. I believe recently she had one specifically for Black students who and their allies as she works to develop identity-based affinity groups, and she will be identifying other identities as it relates to sexual orientation or socioeconomic status or other identities, political ideologies, so that we can better understand how our students identify and how we can better serve them based on their multitude of identities. So I specifically wanted to call that program out and encourage you to attend. I'm just on the student website, and then you can, it's student.worldcampus.psu.edu/calendar. This is where you can find these events. You can also subscribe to the calendar. So these are sent directly to your calendar, and you can have them on there. Also, fall career days are this week. So there's fall career days. I know the Student Advisory Board is talking a lot about career development. So fall career days, I believe it kicks off, or I think it's all week, but they have internship and co-op on Thursday. technical full-time jobs. So if you're looking for technical full-time jobs on Friday, and I think there's a number of career workshops that are happening as well. Alternate careers in franchising, career exploration series, and more. So if you are not plugged into our student calendar, please do get plugged in. Please take the opportunity as student leaders to share these resources. We in Student Affairs are planning lots of programming throughout every semester to support students. And so you can always find those on this calendar, and there's pages of programming here. For the Student Affairs Committee, if you all ever have feedback for us about programs or feel like there's a gap in our programming, we would really love to hear that from you, as we're always looking to improve our programming to better serve students. I'll put a link in the chat with this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Adams. Are there any additional comments or questions at this time? If there are not, I move that we adjourn the meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second.
Third.
All right, the meeting is adjourned at 9:06 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, everybody, and have a great evening.
Thank you.